If you look into a mirror right now and see blue eyes staring back at you, I want you to realize something incredible. You are looking at a biological impossibility. You see, in the entire history of the human body, we have never produced a single drop of blue pigment. Not in our skin, not in our hair, and certainly not in our eyes. If you were to take a blue eye and look at it under a microscope, there is no blue there. So why do we see it? Today we are going to dive into the greatest glitch in human history. A story that begins 10,000 years ago with a single baby born near the Black Sea and leads to a physics-defying illusion that allows us to see colors that don't actually exist. This is the secret evolution of how we see the world and how the world sees us. To understand where we are, we have to understand where we started. For millions of years, the human eye was essentially monochrome. Whether you were a hunter-gatherer in the African savanna or a traveler crossing the land bridges into Asia, your eyes were a deep, dark, soulful brown. And there was a very life or death reason for this. Brown eyes are packed with melanin. Think of melanin as the body's natural armor. In high UV environments, melanin acts as a biological shield, soaking up the sun's harshest rays before they can fry the delicate sensors in your retina. In the ancient world, having brown eyes wasn't just a trait, it was your survival gear. If a human had been born with light eyes in the scorching sun of the equator 50,000 years ago, they would have likely suffered from vision loss or even blindness by their early 20s. Nature doesn't care about striking looks, it cares about survival. And for 99% of human history, survival meant being brown-eyed. But then the world changed. Around 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, just as humans were beginning to settle into the first civilizations, something happened. In the region surrounding the Black Sea, a genetic accident occurred. A mutation hit a gene called OCA2. Now this gene is essentially the melanin factory of your eye. The mutation didn't break the factory, but it did something almost as strange. It installed a dimmer switch. For the first time in history, a human was born with a bottleneck in their pigment production. This mutation limited the amount of melanin reaching the iris. This wasn't a slow transition over thousands of years, it was a sudden, sharp turn in our DNA. And here is the part that sounds like science fiction. Scientists have mapped the DNA of blue-eyed people all over the globe, and the results are unanimous. Every single person on this planet with blue eyes shares the exact same genetic switch in the exact same spot. This means that if you have blue eyes, you are part of a massive global family tree. You aren't just someone with blue eyes, you are a direct descendant of that one single baby born near the Black Sea 10,000 years ago. But we still haven't answered the biggest question. If there is no blue pigment, why do we see blue? The answer isn't biology, it's physics. It's called the Tyndall effect. Imagine the sky on a clear day. The air isn't blue, the gas molecules are clear, but when sunlight hits the atmosphere, the shorter blue light waves scatter in every direction, making the sky appear blue to our eyes. Your eyes work exactly the same way. In a blue eye, the front layer, called the stroma, is completely clear. When light enters your eye, it doesn't hit pigment. Instead, it hits the tiny fibers of the iris and scatters. Because blue light is the easiest to scatter, it's the only color that bounces back out for the world to see. When you look into someone's blue eyes, you aren't looking at a color, you are looking at an optical illusion. You are looking at the same physics that makes the sky blue and the ocean turquoise. But the melanin factory doesn't just have two settings, on or off. Sometimes the dimmer switch gets stuck in the middle. Green eyes are the rarest eyes on the planet, belonging to only 2% of the population. Green eyes are essentially a collision of two worlds. They have a tiny amount of light brown melanin, just enough to act as a yellow filter, layered over the blue scattering effect we just talked about. Blue plus yellow equals green. Hazel eyes are even more chaotic. They are the result of an uneven distribution of melanin. The pigment often bunches up near the pupil, leaving the edges to scatter light. This is why hazel eyes are the chameleons of the human race. They don't actually change color, but because their structure is so complex, they reflect different wavelengths of light depending on the room you're in. They are the most dynamic eyes in existence. Now we have to address the why. If brown eyes were the perfect survival tool, why didn't evolution just wipe out blue and green eyes? As humans moved north into Europe and Asia, the sun's UV rays became much weaker. The melanin shield was no longer a requirement for survival, but that doesn't explain why blue blue eyes thrived. Some researchers believe it was about vitamin D. Lighter eyes and lighter skin allowed more light to enter the body, which helped ancient humans process vitamin D in dark, sunless winters. But Charles Darwin had a different theory: sexual selection. In a world where 99% of the population looked the same, a person with sky-colored eyes was a total sensation. They were rare, they were striking, they were attractive. Because blue-eyed ancestors were seen as exotic, they were more likely to find mates and pass their glitch down to the next generation. We didn't evolve blue eyes to survive the cold, we evolved them because we couldn't stop looking at them. Today, your eye color is more than just a trait you put on a driver's license. It is a biological map of your family's 10,000-year journey across this planet. It tells a story of survival in the African sun, a mysterious mutation in the mountains of Europe, and a masterpiece of physics that happens every time light hits your face. The gene for brown eyes is dominant, while blue and green are recessive. This means if a baby gets a brown eye gene from one parent and a blue eye gene from the other, brown almost always wins. That is why brown is still the absolute king of eye colors, making up about 80% of the global population. Blue comes in second at around 10%, and true green is extremely rare at just 2%. Sometimes, nature even plays a trick called heterochromia, where a person is born with two completely different colored eyes, like one brown and one blue. It is a rare and beautiful beautiful accident where melanin is perfectly distributed in one eye, but totally missing in the other. Every time you look into a mirror, you are not just looking at a color, you are looking at a biological map. Your eyes hold the ancient story of the harsh sun, the dark winters, and the epic journey of human survival.